And we are live, hopefully. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, and the webinar about my journey going from Hotwire, okay, first mistake, going from React to Hotwire. I maybe just sometimes make this mistake by replacing React with Rails or Rails with React, because both are starts with R, so please forgive me. Okay, so I think it's 5:01. We can start, and who didn't join will join later on. Just for your information, this webinar will be or is now being recorded, so probably there will be some video afterwards if everything goes well. If not, then we'll just delete it. Okay, just kidding. So let's go. As I mentioned, the title of the webinar is From React to Hotwire, an Unexpected Journey, and it will be about my journey, about my transition going from this JavaScript world to the Rails world. Okay, so my name is Maciek Korsan, and I work at Arkansas as a UI engineer, and I'm also, after hours, I'm a creative developer. I'm building some crazy stuff from time to time. Yeah, and my journey with web development started around year 2002 or 2003, when I've been building the sites with this kind of GIFs or GIFs. How do you pronounce it? Yeah, so there were like lots of things going on there, but the web was pretty static, pretty solid. There were no much changes. We've been building sites for the one resolution for various browsers, and there were some problems with them. Right now, I would say that the modern browser landscape is more programmer friendly than it used to be in the early 2000s. But back in the days, it was really fun. I learned a lot, and I enjoyed creating websites. And I must admit that I miss Internet Explorer number 6. It used to be my favorite browser with all of those quirks and stuff. But I miss it also because of another reason. The times were much simpler, and me as a web developer, as I used to call myself like that at the time, I've been doing everything, starting from design to server configuration to some PHP custom CMS to implementation of that, domains, DNS, stuff like that. So we've been doing everything. And right now we are not doing this. Like there are like more specialized specialized positions, not only web developer, but front end, back end, stuff like that. Okay, so let's go fast forward to the year 2015. And in the year 2015, I gave a talk at the local JavaScript meetup, and it was titled "Why You Don't Need jQuery When You're Using AngularJS." So the year 2015 or 2014 was for me a kind of revolution, because there was a revolution going on behind the scenes. Few years earlier, the media queries started popping up, so we had to build some websites on mobile devices. And also, beside this like CSS stuff, there were also JavaScript stuff going on. But JavaScript at this moment wasn't pretty much developed. It was in a stale version. But around this time, the revolution started. So there was this AngularJS, which I picked as my framework, and I was amazed with that, because you could change everything on a website without reloading. You could change something in this one input, then it will react on the other part of the page. You can communicate with the backend. Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like pitching this, that you don't need jQuery because you've got Angular. So yeah, it was pretty obvious, but some people still combined those two things. So I had to give a talk to show that you actually don't need Angular. And after that, React has entered the chat, and it changed my life. I'm not afraid to say that, because it was a revolution, a true revolution for me. Instead of like placing everything in HTML like it was in the first Angular, then we've got this whole new component world, and I could divide my website into some smaller parts, reuse them, or pass some props. and yeah, stuff like that. So it was awesome in terms of like creating more responsive UIs, more user-friendly UIs, stuff like that. And we could create dynamic UIs. So as I mentioned before, in Angular, we also could do that, but it was much more complicated than doing this in React. There was no jQuery, so another pro. And there was this one-way data flow, which was much more predictive than two-way binding data flow, which we had in Angular, and it sucks. And also there was this virtual DOM, so we've got the copy of the actual DOM, and we could do some operations, replace stuff. It was pretty fast and revolutionary. And it all felt like magic. So like going from the static websites with some jQuery to do some animations, sliders, stuff like that, we moved to the React world when we could build pretty complex applications or views at the moment. Yeah, and it felt like magic. And magic is the keyword of this webinar, because I will be saying magic a lot of time. So, but this React revolution caused a bigger separation between front-end and backend. So the separation has increased, and as you probably most of you know, there are like backend developers and front-end developers. They don't like each other, but they have to cooperate. And this separation still is increasing, because like everyone is developing their own thing and focusing only on the one part of the app. And I don't think it's a good movement. So this revolution caused that we moved from websites. So previously we built websites, and right now we are building web apps. So everyone, big companies noticed that, okay, so we don't have to build expensive desktop app. We don't need to have an installer. We just can use this funny browser when I looking at the cat memes to like do business. So we moved from websites to web apps, and this put React in trouble, because as it was the very popular solution, it had some flaws. So it was used for, and it's still being used for everything. So besides, like the main idea behind React was to create some reactive UI, not to have routing or multiple SPAs. Single page applications, but yeah, it's now everywhere. And there's this mantra that people who are using React, including me, they are saying it's not a framework, it's just a library. So you need to create your own toolbox around it. Oh, sorry. Wrong key. We were here. Okay, so about this toolbox, in this toolbox, we need to have the state management. And which state management, which state manager we should use. Like every project has its own, like somebody picks this one, another one, that one. Which router should we use? Because there is no default router in React, right? So what's the standard application architecture for this? I don't know. Like from my history, when I joined so many projects, there was like every project was different. I could like be in like 10, 15 projects, and it was like, okay, this one uses this one for routing, this one uses this for state management, this something completely else. So there were no standards, but it was everywhere, and it was just growing. You had to install more and more node packages to solve stuff. So yeah, that's the problem of the React landscape. And it became super slow. So there were like some new techniques of memoization stuff, use callbacks, all the other things that you need to care of to make your app being like good old React super responsive. And the development of React pretty much slowed down. There are no new versions. Yeah. It sucks right now, and I could go for hours, but we don't have time. It's not the webinar about React. It's about the journey I had. So let's move on. And Next.js has entered the chat, and Next.js is some kind of revolution, or they're trying to make a standard for React. Even the official React documentation right now is saying if you want to build some React app, use Next.js as a framework. It's a good starting point, because it has routing, it has server-side rendering, static site generation, so we can do all of this stuff, like starting from building websites to building complex applications with this tool, and it helped a little bit. But yeah, so Vercel is now is the owner of this, is a corporation, and I don't like this, to be honest. It's like it went too far. We forgot like why React was invented. So yeah, I don't like it. And I might say I might sound like a hater of this React Next.js stuff, but I'm still using it, and I'm still building things with that. And yeah, if I could define my relationship with this technology, it's complicated. So yeah, we can move forward. In year 2021, I joined Arkansas for React and general UI development. I've been doing a lot of CSS support because I'm a CSS guy. I love doing styling and taking care of all of this UI, UX accessibility stuff around web apps and websites. So that was my purpose of joining Arkansas, to support the team in that area. And in 2023, after a few years of doing the stuff I mentioned before, I joined a project in Arkansas that was a complex fintech project. And there was a challenge because when we sat down and thought, okay, so let's try something else. Maybe we should ditch React and try to build with Hotwire, because there is this cool technology and it's Rails. We don't have to have another app for that. So yeah, let's try this. Maybe it's a good moment. And it was a good moment because we built Excel features, proof of concept with Hotwire, and then we developed the rest of the app. And the funny thing is that we beat a couple of React Next.js competitors, because the investor decided to do some competition, let's say. So they wanted to know if Hotwire will be okay to that for building that solution, or should they go with the standard React Next way. So yeah, so the other competitors couldn't achieve what we achieved with Hotwire, and it was a shock for me, because it was probably the first time I had the chance to work with that, and I fell in love with that. And so we built like some complex things, like double click to edit the cell in this like Excel sheet, update the charts, some models. Like it was fully reactive, single page application with them just a minimal amount of JavaScript. So it was awesome. And after that, I posted this meme. Maybe you saw it before. I posted on my socials as a React guy who posted this meme. It was pretty funny, and the reactions of my friends was really. So yeah, friendship ended with React, and now Hotwire is my best friend. And yeah, I could agree with that. But as I said before, I'm still using React. And why it was that good for me? It was refreshing yet very familiar experience. I felt really nostalgic. Like I got back like in a time machine to early 2000s with this technology, because yeah, this is the way I remember, like when I was building the proper websites and web apps, like single application which does everything. So it was super awesome. And another thing that made me super happy, as I said, I'm more UI guy, so I like to work with the proper layers. So this fixes the big problem I have with React, that we are working with proper layers again, because we have content. Content is wrapped with HTML. It's like proper HTML tags, no some JSX syntax, no functions that are rendering HTML. Proper HTML returned from the server, styled with CSS, and then we are using JavaScript only for interactions, not for generating content, not for other stuff. JavaScript is solely specified to do interactions, and it's perfect. I love it. And I have this manifest. So let's make webmasters a thing again, because we can. Right now we can build again, like a single person can do everything. DHH is not lying. It's the single person framework. So MWA ATA. I need to make this kind of hat. Right now it's just generated with Midjourney. But make webmasters a thing again. It's my slogan right now. Okay, so the question I would like to answer with this webinar is: can a React developer build an interactive app with Rails and Hotwire alone? so without external help. So I accept this challenge and let's go. So at first, let's talk about some probably obvious stuff. I could go with creation of some kind of app. I would talk about this app soon. I could go with the path I know, so next plus some kind of API. So I would need next application to be deployed somewhere. I need a backend API. For the start, I could use some kind of ready-made no-code solution like Airtable or something else that will fit this simple proof of concept stuff. But then if I want to extend it, I still have to create some kind of backend somewhere and deploy it, and lots of hassle. So that's the pretty standard way. So that's why we typically have two teams, one front and one backend, some DevOps and other people. And if I would take this path, there is this easy to build UI with one of the component libraries, because this ecosystem around React is huge. There are many ready to use component libraries that are free. I could just pick this one, and build a whole UI in a couple of hours. So that's the one path I could take. And the second one is the Rails and Hotwire. There is one app to maintain. There is no client-side state, which I hate in React, and I love it here, because you don't have to care about this twice. You just need to solve it once on the server side. But there's a smaller ecosystem. The community around this isn't that big. That's why I'm doing this presentation, to maybe do some promotion and to convince some people that it's worth trying to use that and build a bigger community around Hotwire. And there is a reduced complexity, because there is a single app to deploy, and you don't have to worry about having a separate Node application with Next.js server. Then we got another backend application. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's meet the Groove Tracker. This is the app I've been working on for the last couple of days. And yeah, it started with this Google Sheet. So at the beginning of the year, I decided to stop using Spotify because of their policies and how they are treating the artists. So that's why I stopped using Spotify, and I decided to listen to music as I used to do before, so as a whole albums. So behind me there is a shelf with my records collection. I have two turntables in my room, because I'm a DJ also after hours. So I wanted to create some kind of logger for my collection that will log both the records and the time I'm playing them. So I could at the end of the year, I will get this vinyl wrapped summary, that in January you listen to 100 records. It was the most active month of the year. You know what I'm talking about. So it started with this Google Sheet, and I'm just posting there every time I'm putting some record to listen. Here I'm putting the log in Google Sheet, but I wanted to build an app so I could go with with some external data and covers and do some fancy stuff. And yeah, that's how this Groove Tracker has been born. And for now, I will just show you how it works. So let's see it in action. Yeah. Okay. Not the editor yet, but this is the Groove Tracker. So Groove Tracker is as I said, is an application to log your records. And what can we see here? So there is the summary. I've got 10 unique records on this instance. Unique records. I played them 9 times, and this is the time I spent on listening to them. I've got the recently played record right here. I've got some search box that I can look for some, let's say I just listened to the Eraser by Tom York. In updates here, updates this one, okay. And we've got the list of the artists. So that's the dashboard. In the records view, we've got this list of the records I own. I can also log it from here. So I have this view for every record I own. Let's say I just listen to this one. So it updates this one time played. When I played this last time, it was today. There is this one, which was in the beginning of January. So this is also changing. I can import the record. I'm using the external API called Discogs. So let's say I want to import some Star Wars music. I'm typing this. Okay, let's say I've got this one record. I've got this indicator that it's working, and it appeared here. Also, I have this like log viewer, so I can review which record I listened at what time, and I've this simple artist viewer. I've got this list of the records. So, like if I go here to Radiohead, I can like also log it from here, right? So that's the basic function of this app: logging and having this collection somehow in one place. Okay, what you saw right now, it's not the whole app because I'm talking about the specific functions later on, about specific features later on, but to give you a view, I wrote a total of 38 lines of JavaScript, including braces to do the stuff you just saw. And yeah, including braces, so like the typical like function calls, or like maybe half of this. So yeah, my mind was blown when I saw this. Okay, so let's talk about the Hotwire and how do I understand it as a React developer and what it is at all. If you are not familiar with that, Hotwire is the HTML over the wire. It is a set of tools that you can use with your backend application. It doesn't have to be a Rails application. It also works with PHP, Python, all of the stuff. You can pretty much adapt your backend to connect it with the Hotwire. It's not only Rails dependent framework. And it's built with four elements. First one is Turbo Drive. So let's talk about the Turbo Drive. Turbo Drive works like this. So we are getting the new HTML, replacing old body with the new body, and merging the head. It's like the whole concept of it. And let's see it in action. Maybe it will be easier to understand. Okay, so right now I'm on the homepage, and I will just hide myself maybe so you will see the whole network panel. Okay, I'm on the homepage, so it's dashboard, and when I hover over the records, you can see there is a request. It's fetch request. If I logs, okay, another one, but I didn't click on that. I just hover over it. So Hotwire Turbo. It's called Turbo, sorry. Turbo Drive, yes, that's the words I've been looking for. Turbo Drive is capturing every request you're making before it's being triggered. So, okay, if I click right now on the records, it changes instantly because it's been already preloaded. So yeah, another click on dashboard. So it works instantly. It saves some time, like in the traditional way. It saves some time to make this request after you click. So before you click, it's already in your memory. And if I go, let's say here, and look at the response, yeah. There is the whole document, and Turbo Drive is taking this part, like the body of this new page, replacing the old one with the new body, and then it's looking at the head just to have this merge stuff, the things that are different. So that's the classic Turbo Drive, but we've got the new one with the new Hotwire recently, or 1 year ago released. There is a morph. It's a new way of doing this. So it's pretty similar. After you're making this like hover action, it's getting the new HTML and comparing it with the current. And after you click it, there is replace using idiomorph. There is a library that's working similarly to the virtual DOM. So it's looking like for the changes, it's not replacing the whole body, but only the changes, the things that changed. That's how idiomorph is working. Result of both of those approaches is that we've got improved performance for the user, because if you hover over something, it's already being preloaded, and the same technique is being used in Next.js, but they are using JSONs to give this site structure. Here we are just getting the whole HTML. So we can imagine that, like, if you hover over something, when you have this Turbo Drive enabled, which is enabled by default since Rails 7, then it's doing this call behind the scenes already for you. So it might also cost some money for the server time, but it's not that bad. because most of the time people are not going crazy with these AMRs, just hovering the stuff they really need to visit. But there are some traps, and I fell into one trap. So as you can imagine, when I'm hovering over stuff, the call is already being made behind the scenes. We just don't see the effect. To see the effect, we must to click. But the code to get the index of my app already has been made. So I used link, not button, but link to trigger this update here, right? And when I used link here and I hover over like any of those, the call, log call has already been made. So just by hovering, I've been logging place of my records, which is not cool, right? We don't want this kind of behavior. Right now you can see that there's some IDs going on here, but they are just the details of the record, loading this stuff. They are not loading the logs. So here I need to click specifically, and here you can see there's this log stuff going on. So I fall into this trap. There are some ways to solve this. One of the way is to add the data attribute called data turbo equals false. Every link with this data attribute will not be triggered by hover. So it will be loaded the old way. Or classic way, but the simpler solution, and that this is the path I took, is to avoid actions that will modify data just with get request when using Turbo, because it will be triggered just by hovering over stuff. So don't use like get request to delete your item from the list. So because if you hover over the list, you will just lose everything. So use unuse buttons for that. And you'll be fine. Speaking of Turbo Drive, there is also Turbo Confirm, and funny thing is that this is the first Turbo-related mention I found in the docs when I've been doing this my Rails tutorial. And what it does, you can add it to button to link to make sure that you really want to do this call. So this will make you sure that you really want to delete stuff. So let's have a look. So if I go here and let's say I want to delete this this log here, it asks me, am I sure? Okay, and it's gone. The way it's disappearing, I will discuss this later on, but for now it's just like I wanted to show that we can add some interactivity, or just like some confirmation box just with a single data attribute without writing anything in JavaScript. Okay, that's all about the Turbo Drive. Let's talk about Turbo Frames. It's the most atomic thing about Hotwire, I think, and to me it's somehow similar to React Component, but because it isolates a particular part of the application and gives you more possibilities. So there is a new tag introduced by Hotwire, and it's called Turbo Frame. It's a regular DOM element, which can cause you trouble, and I will talk about this later on. Turbo Frame is some way similar to the React components, and we can also use Turbo Frame tag helper with a name to also create this ID. And beside this comparison to the React component, it's also maybe more like an intelligent iframe, because it behaves in a similar way. Let's have some examples. So first example I would like to show is inline editing. And to do inline editing with Turbo Frames, we need some components to do that. So let's start with wrapping each element of the list with Turbo Frame tag. Okay, so we've got this history here, and if I click edit, we've got the inline editing, right? So I can just open it in many places, and I can click back, it goes back. And so how it's done? Let's go to the code to see it. Let's look at the index here, and yeah, and this one partial actually is the one we are looking for. Yeah, this one. Okay, so I've got this Turbo Frame tag with an ID created with the each of the log IDs, and inside of this we've got normal list element list item element, and with all the information about this specific entry. So this is the thing we are seeing here. So if I trigger some action from this frame, which is linked to, it will behave the same as an iframe. So it will be displayed inside this turbo frame tag. So if I click here, yeah, it's replaced, and let's see what's the response of this. Yeah, we've got this turbo frame ID, and there is this whole stuff we are seeing here. I can see a question that don't I use the DOM ID. Sometimes I do. I'm still new to this technology, so forgive me for some probably obvious things for you, but I'm not that super familiar yet with that. So yeah, I know that there is this DOM ID, and sometimes I'm using it, but yeah, here not. Back to the game. So log here and the response. That's the thing that's interesting to us right now. Yeah, so there's this edit, and we are just if I just inspect this, yeah. So this is a regular link, right? No fancy stuff. It's just being inside the turbo frame. Yeah, and if I go here to the edit right now, so let's look at the edit logs. Okay, there is also turbo frame tag here, but there is also a cover, right? And there is this h1 edit log, but we don't see it here. And why is that? Because let's go to the slides now. Yeah, this is a pretty normal link, and we need to have the same ID on both sides. So the side that's invoking the trigger, so this one, right, the main one, and inside the thing that we are loading, also there should be the same turbo frame with the same ID. Then then the turbo knows that it needs to be replaced with this content inside this turbo frame, and it's not looking at all the other stuff like image tag or edit log. Funny thing, I can just like do this that way. If I open this in the new tab, I've got this, right? So there's this part is only being displayed inside my list, but besides that, I've got this cover, the whole cover. So but turbo frame is not looking at that. It gets this HTML, of course, because we are doing this proper request, but it's using only the fragment that is wrapped with the same ID. Yeah. And you can sometimes you can get this message, content missing, and it's pretty common when you start playing with turbo frames. When it happens when let's change this yeah, to that. So probably this is why I didn't use the DOM ID, because I wanted to play with the IDs here to show the error. Okay, we got back to the standard state. Let's click edit. Okay, we've got this error message, content missing. We don't have our form because when we go to the network and we go here, yeah, there is this frame called loga instead of log, and no matching frame found. That's the content missing. In the previous versions of Hotwire, you'll get a full website refresh to do that. So newer versions are more programmers friendly. Okay, I think we can move on. And as I mentioned before, there is this extra DOM element, and it was like, okay, why? It's like I'm used to using something else like React fragment in React, and we are using this to wrap, because when you're returning something in React, it has to be a single element. Here we don't care, but there we are using fragments to wrap everything, and then when we are inserting this into proper DOM, this fragment is being removed. So we can like have 5 list items, and they will be like placed inside the unordered list, for example. But not in that case. So here we have something else. Let's have a look at the records right now. Yeah, here, and go to the list. Okay, so in my list, I've got this contents, yeah, and the records, this one. Okay, so there is this grid here, right? So we've got classic CSS grid with 3 columns, and there is the first one which contains the import method, and then we've got TurboFrame with ID records and this class contents. If I remove this, it goes like this. So everything goes as expected, right? Because this is the grid, so the second element of the grid with 3 columns should go to the second column, and it does. But what about the content of it? Yeah, it will say in this DOM node. So not cool. That's why I added this, display contents. This is Tailwind, so yeah, the proper CSS is display contents. This is the value of the contents. This is the value of the display attribute. Yeah, and that's the way I fixed this, and I wrote a blog post about it. You can read it on blog.arkansas.com, and it explains why. So to sum up, to TLDR, if you match the frame ID on both source and loaded pages, you are good to go. You won't get this content missing stuff. Okay, use case number 2 of TurboFrames is eager loading, and it's a pretty cool one. So we can ask ourselves a question: can using TurboFrame make your website faster? And I will answer no. Just by using the TurboFrame, you won't make your server faster or response faster, but you can make a better user experience. So the cool trick is to wrap, like you've got this, let's say, big search results page where you have some complicated calculations behind the scenes, and you're rendering the results, right? And when you're rendering this, like from the, like we are going from homepage to the search page, and we are rendering this in one response, then we are waiting to calculate all the stuff inside the results. So some filtering, some database queries. Yeah, so we can wrap just the part of the slow part in a separate TurboFrame, and it will increase your improve your user experience, because you will get first you will get the whole HTML with this TurboFrame with the source attribute. It will render everything, and you can wait for the response from your server to load this slow view. And I use this specifically for this kind of case. Yeah, so you may see there's this loading results here, because Discogs API is not that fast, and I'm calling the Discogs API from Rails, not from the frontend. So it's a call from the backend to another backend to get the list of results, and we are seeing this loading results. And to do that, I just used this. Not here. Yeah, as you can see, there is just like a TurboFrame with source, records Discogs results, and the response contains this, and then we got this loading state, and it's being loaded inside of this element. If I didn't use this like source and render the response just like that, I will have to wait like 2-3 seconds just to get the model. So my user wouldn't get the model instantly, like this. It will be like waiting for the results, and then it will display anything. So it's like, it's not a good user experience. We don't want that. So that's a quick hack to use the frame to improve your user experience. Another use case for TurboFrame is search results. So if you have form plus data TurboFrame, we get nice logbox. So let's have a look at the homepage. Again, yeah, we are here. And we are here. So we've got this logging feature. I want to log some, let's say, this Star Wars record I just added. So I'm just typing something. By the way, this is auto-submitting form. I made this with JS. I will talk about this in the JavaScript part. So you can imagine I'm just typing something and hitting search here. This is what it does. So it just requests the submit for the form. Okay, so I'm typing star and I'm getting the result. If I click here, yeah, it's gonna be replaced. Okay, how do I get this loading state with eager loading? good question. I will show two ways of doing that, but to answer your question right now, I will show you the first solution. It was in results, right? Here, nope, it was in Discog search, this one. Okay, so if you type something inside the TurboFrame tag, this thing will be displayed before you get response from here. So we can add here like a loading state or some image spinner, whatever you want. But after it's gonna be loaded, you won't get this possibility again. It will just work inside. But there is also another way of doing loading. I also wrote a blog post about it last year, so you can read it on Arkansas's blog. But back to the logging feature. So if I type something here like this one, okay, so this is thing I showed you before. We've got form, and there is this data TurboFrame records results. We can target something with our form, so you don't have to. It doesn't have to be always the same frame. We can target a frame. So we are telling here, okay, this form has data TurboFrame, ID of the frame, records results, which is this frame. And after submitting this form, use this action and replace the content of this action, the response of this action inside this TurboFrame. And that's it. So here you can see also there is it uses this source attribute behind the scenes, and we can see there's records search action with the query called star. And this is how I get this the Star Wars thing here. So super simple solution, but we can target anything with that. And I can highly recommend using this approach for using TurboFrames for search results. Okay, let's talk about the most fancy thing about Hotwire, which is Turbo Streams. And for me, as a React developer, as a front-end developer, how I understand Turbo Streams can make precise DOM operations from the backend. Since we are not using too much JavaScript on the front end, and especially we are not using it for generating the result, the DOM, we can do this from the backend using Turbo Streams, and Turbo Streams are often misunderstood because they're like advertised. You can get fancy real-time stuff on your page with Turbo Streams. Yes, you can, but it's not the main purpose of it. The main purpose of the Turbo Stream is to make the precise operation from the backend. And let's see how it works in a minute. I want to just mention that it's ID-based communication. So the target of TurboStream doesn't have to be a TurboFrame. You can use anything on your site that has ID to address this from the backend. So that's the one thing we should be aware of. Okay, we can continue. So yeah, ID-based communication, and use case number one. Now let's update the latest played record and some stats. So it will be exciting, hopefully. Yeah. So this is the thing we saw before. There is this text saying my collection is 11 unique records. I played them 12 times, and this is the time I spent on listening. So if I go here and type something, let's say I just listened to Kid A by Radiohead, it just updated. So this number changed, and I've got the new cover with the new title. And I've done this with Turbo Streams. I couldn't do this with TurboFrame because TurboFrame can be, it's a single thing. Like you cannot alter multiple TurboFrames at one time in one request, but you can do this with Turbo Streams. So this is the big difference between frames and streams. Streams can alter multiple elements with one response. So let's have a look at this response then. So what happened here? I run this log action, and we've got this response with some weird HTML. Yeah, and let's maybe move to the other slide. So yeah, with TurboStream, we can modify multiple IDs with one call, and we can go inside details of the implementation now. Thing that we are seeing here is the multiple turbo streams, like here another one, another one, another one. I had to specify which parts of the web page I want to update with this request. And so I picked like this one, and this whole block here. And to do that, I need to go to my controller first. So let's go to the dashboard controller. Yeah, and we've got this new thing, which is respond to, new for me, maybe not for you. And we can do this for various formats. And there is a new format called Turbo Stream. If I go to my network again and have a look at the header, there's also, you can see it here. Yeah. So there's text, VND, Turbo Stream, HTML. So there is new content type to respond to. Yeah, so now we need to find where this turbo stream is being held. So it's inside views, and it's funny because funny and not funny. Maybe it's handy. So we have everything in one place, and I'm looking for dashboard log.turbo.stream. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, I'm just responding with all of those turbo streams, and turbo stream has its own actions, and you can do multiple DOM operations with that. So one of the action is update, which updates. You can also remove, to remove the element. You can prepend, append stuff, all of the stuff you would normally do with the DOM modification operations. So here I'm using just the update. So the syntax is the turbostream.update. This is the ID of the element I want to replace, and I'm using the partial with last plate, logbox, and here I'm just replacing the numbers. So yeah, last plate is the this one, right? The cover. And logbox, I'm also resetting this one. So there is no like, if I, let's say king of limbs, it goes back to the default state. So it's not, there is no a letter here, and yeah, so everything is being reset, which is cool. And yeah, I'm updating the total time count and logs count. So if I go again to the index of my dashboard, this one, and have a look here, yeah. So you can see this is the ID I'm replacing with updating with this stream, and this is pretty similar to the curly braces values in React to me. So instead of writing something like that, yeah, this is the thing I would do in React. I have to do this. And this is the initial value, right? So it's being updated afterwards, but it works, and it works really fine. And of course, it doesn't refresh the page. Use case number 2 of turbo streams I would like to show you today is adding the new record to my records list. So if I go here, and we saw this also before, add some random flaming clips, for example. Yeah, and it's prepend to the list. After I add another one, my code field. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look again at the add the network. So this one. And yeah, here I'm using the import action of the records controller, and in response, I've got this turbo stream action prepend, which is targeting records. And inside, I've got the new record template with all of those covers, artist name, title, and stats, which are 0 because I haven't played this record yet. And also there is another one which updates the model, and it's empty because I want to clear the model also. Because the model here, the thing you are seeing all of the time, this one, is also a turbo frame. So there is a turbo frame at the end of the document, and we can place there anything we want. I'm placing the model here. So I'm using backend code to generate the model, not some UI external library component. I'm just using the normal, yeah, like this. So you can see there is also this stuff behind the scenes as in others. Okay. Okay, I will respond to this at the end, okay, because I don't want to be distracted. Thank you, Andrew, for your question. I'll get back to you with the answer afterwards. Okay, so we were in the records, and there is this create turbo stream. Yeah, so this is the response we are using, right? Turbo stream prepend records with the partial and the record, and then we got this clearing up the model stuff. Okay, another thing, we can remove the record from the collection. Just a second, I need to check something. Yeah. All right, so when I go here, I can clear this out, and let's say I want to delete this record because I added accidentally. Oh, that's the word. Okay, I'm sure I want to delete it, and I've got this another post request, and we've got this turbo stream action remove, and the target is the ID of the record I had here, so it's gonna be removed like that. So we can also alter the DOM by removing stuff, and the cool thing about this is that you don't have to worry about the state. So I don't have to store the current state of my records on the front end, because it's always, when it's being deleted from the front end, it means that it's also deleted from the database. And probably last one from Turbo Streams is the remove the logged entry. And this one will be exciting because of one cool feature it has. So yeah, if I go here and let's remove let's say the king of limbs. Okay, it's removed. Again, I just forgot to open and use preserve log. Sorry for that. So let's again remove the Star Wars. Okay, I've got fetch here, but there is no response. Yet this record disappeared. So there is some magic going on here, and I mentioned that before. There is also a magic. And how does it work? So let's have a look what other things we are loading. We have this cable here, WebSocket, and let's have a look at the messages here. Let's delete the eraser. Okay. Oh, here is my message, right? So it came through the WebSocket, not through the regular post get response, but it came through the WebSocket. And okay, so let's have a look inside our log controller. And let's have a look at destroy. Okay. Nothing here, so no response to, no formats. Maybe then let's have a look at in the views. Nope, there is only create, no destroy. So let's have a look at the model. Okay, here's something. So to do that, I'm using this callbacks, the commits, to remove the log from the list using this broadcast remove to, and I'm using these logs here, so I don't have to specify the ID. It's a Rails magic again. And you can see also that there is some records here, right? So let's have a look. Let's go to the records, and yeah, I need to open both of them side by side. So let's refresh this one and refresh this one. And if I log from here, it works, right? So I can like have this broadcasting and have a live view of vlogging stuff in the different window or in the different app even. Created on this Rails application. I could have like this separate view for displaying the current playing without a need of refreshing stuff. Okay, so it works that way. So I can just like, let's say I've logged this 7 times. And what happens if I delete this? Boom, it also updated this here. So it says now I played 6 times. If I delete one more, it will say that it's like it has been played 5 times. And this is super magical stuff. So we don't have to create this one. It's just from the model. So every time the model is altered or like removed, updated, created, we can send some kind of stream. And to make things work, we need to add one more thing inside our views. So we need to subscribe to those streams, because without that, Turbo wouldn't know like what operation it should do. So if I go to the records, I've got this Turbo stream from records. This subscribes to this one. And in the logs view, I've got the log stream. It's index, right? Yeah, Turbo stream from logs. And this view now knows that it should be subscribed to the logs channel of this broadcasting thing. So this is how we use the broadcasting feature. And yeah, so we can use model callbacks to broadcast the streams, and we need to subscribe to the stream to get this. Also, there is this broadcast references and morphing. This is a new thing. I tried to use it, but it's too magical for me. So instead of doing this stuff, defining all of the, let's go back to model. Yeah, instead of doing this, we could just do, I think it was like something like this, broadcast. So something like this. Yeah, and it will broadcast every event related to this model automatically. So you don't have to define this, and then you can subscribe to that in your app. And it also uses morphing. So the name it also tells what it does. So it refreshes the whole page behind the scenes, and using morphing to replace the stuff you really need. And I don't like it because it's too magical, as I said, and it's a bit too complicated. So for now, I prefer the classic way. I want to specify my stream to not to be like broadcasted everywhere for one reason without having control on it. And yeah, so if I go here, I want to like specify, okay, I can specify this, and this, and I can do it half manually, let's say. Also, I can see that Łukasz is mentioning that can be also performed from controller. Yes, and I think I have an example of that, so I will just show it too. No. Where is it? Yes, here. So when I'm destroying the record, I'm using here the response from the controller, so I don't have to create another view, and I don't have to use model for that. So I can like inline, let's say, render a turbo stream. And funny thing is that you need to say it twice: turbo stream, remove, and then pass the record, and it will work magic with that. So that's the thing that Łukasz is mentioning here. Okay, last part. We are getting closer to the end of this webinar, so let's talk about Stimulus. And Stimulus is the closest thing to React component interactions because it's JavaScript. So I will show you this 38 lines I created for this app right now. I want to mention that I love scaffolding, and this is like the thing I started working with Rails. It's like, okay, so I don't have to create those files manually. I can just use some generators for that, and it will update imports, do all the magic stuff for me. It's super cool, so I love this. And second thing I want to mention here is that we are living in a dataset world, so everything Turbo, Hotwire, and Stimulus related is connected tightly to the DOM, to our HTML. So we need to watch out for the changes. Okay, and I want to mention also that SPA, single page applications, are MFs, and MFs stands for models and forms. not the thing you thought about. It's models and forms. So first, the use case of Stimulus I have in my app is the model. And let's talk about some translations. So I created the Stimulus translator slide. Previously in React, we had this component it mount, and now we are probably most of us using the use effect hook. In Stimulus, we have connect methods. So this will be invoked after the DOM element appears in the DOM. So we can use that for, let's open the model controller. Yeah, this one. So this is the structure of the Stimulus controller. You have to import that and that, but as I said, I didn't wrote this. This is generated, so I didn't count this to my lines counter. I had to create this one, so I wanted to actually, because it's not necessary, but I wanted to enhance the user experience. So I have added at the connect event listener to listen to the escape key. So if I go here and now I'm hitting escape, it disappears. So this is the thing I have added. And also I'm using this show model method, which is a standard dialog element method from JavaScript. So this is nothing fancy, nothing external, just a plain JavaScript function. Okay, and there is another one. So if we connect, we can also disconnect to clean things up. So in React, I had this component will amount or use effect return function right now. And in Stimulus, I can use disconnect. And when I'm disconnecting here, I will just remove the event listener. So it won't stay. There's also this helper for handle key down. And there is a close function that also uses the as show model. We can use close to close the dialog element. And we've got click outside, which helps us with this pretty standard behavior. So if I go here, open the model and click somewhere here, it will disappear also. So simple stuff. You may notice that I'm using this element. And in React world, we have useRef to address each of the nodes of the HTML or the DOM, virtual DOM. So you want to add some operation on DOM. In React, you will use useRef. And in Stimulus, we've got this element or the targets array. I will show the targets array later on. But let's go back to the controller here. Yeah, so this element is related to the current scope of the controller, or I will say the element that initialized the controller. So how do we initialize the controller? That's the question we should ask right now. So let's go to create, where is it? Views. Let's go to create records. Which one? This one? This one, yes, correct. So we got this Discogs search. This is the model I'm using here to ask Discogs for some help for the data. And yeah, I'm using, as I said, this is also the frame tag with model. And I'm using this data controller model. This is how I initialize the controller and the scope of the controller. So everything inside the here is accessible from inside this scope. So basically, everything in this element can use functions from actions from this. So this is how we initialize the controller, and after the DOM element is destroyed, and it will unsubscribe from the events. Also, we can see here I've enabled some debugging, and we've got all of the stuff from Stimulus here logged, so we can have a look. Yeah, it's been triggered, so it works. In React, we've got this on click and other stuff. In Stimulus, we've got data action, another data attribute we need to be aware of. And then we've got this action arrow, name of the controller, and then hash, and then name of the action. So if you have a look here, we can invoke action also on the initializer element, which is cool. So we don't have to do some nesting or placing it somewhere higher. It's just here. And we've got this click model click outside. So it's connected to the whole dialog element, and I also have this close button here, so I can also attach the action here. So it's plain HTML, you can read it, and you know what's going on. Downside of this is that the thing I'm missing from React is that I've got those actions somewhere up in the file. Here I need to find the specific modal or other controller I'm using in my application. So that's a little downside. Use case number 2 of Stimulus in this app is form auto submit. So that's the thing we've seen before. So if I go to the form controller, I'm importing some debounce, external debounce function, so I don't have to write it by myself. And in connect, I'm connecting submit action, this one, to debounce with 100 millisecond delay. And if it's gonna be triggered, then we've got this element, which is form, and we are requesting submit. Standard JavaScript function again, so no fancy stuff. Yeah, if I go here, you can see there is this data action input. So on input, we are just using form submit. And that's all you need to add. And it's auto submitting right now. So again, key that's okay. And it's done. As simple as that. And as I spoke about the external libs, so yeah. Is it Marco, that the creator of the Stimulus LSP? Wow. Hi. I think it's you, looking at your avatar, but I'm not sure. Big fan, by the way. Okay, going back to the external libs. Yeah. Where node modules? This is my reaction. So I'm used to to have a project where is the package JSON when I can define my node modules. So with default installation, I don't have this. I can also configure obviously the bundler, and that's the thing I've been doing or not doing, because when I've been joining the project, there were already node modules. But yeah, this is the plain Rails app. No node modules. So we're node modules, and WTF is import map. Is my reaction. So I've been using import maps here, and I wanted to add some cool feature to my record browser importer, and I needed external library for that. So yeah, that was the first approach. Something went wrong. Probably the library wasn't in the ESM format, or like the default package source for this import maps didn't have the correct link. So yeah, I was like, okay, so maybe I need some bundling here, but I didn't want to, so I did this. I found a working copy, the one that you can like actually place in the head of your website and use like a CDN external script. And this one works. So I just pinned it like that. And this is the debounce we've seen before. So yeah, what it does, this import maps are just placing it somewhere. I can't remember now where. There's some vendor catalog or something like that. Yeah. There's some like old stuff should be removed. So the bounce is being kept here, and this one is being loaded from the external CDN. Probably we can just download it too, so it will work. I didn't investigate this much yet, but I will have a look. So I've got this working right now. So let's see what it does, because I think it's a pretty cool feature. So let's go to records, import records, and some of the records have this. So I have this like actual record here. Some of them have this, like there is a barcode here, and Discogs API knows the numbers, so we can easily import a record just by scanning the code. So I've added this barcode scanner here. Let's run it. Okay, hello. You can see me twice, but the camera in my monitor isn't great, so it can't focus like this. It can't read it. So I've made a bigger version of this code. Let's see. Yeah, it worked. Cool. I was afraid that it will not work, but it did. So cool. Yeah. So we've got this code here. Code is being inserted into the input. Input is auto submitting stuff, and we've got the list of this, like the lost tapes, this record here. Yeah. So let's add it to my collection, and it's there. So it's a really cool feature, and with the phone it will work better because there is a better autofocus here and much more detailed than the standard webcam. So yeah, I could just go and scan my collection. Some of the records have this code, and add the exact version because I've got like 3 copies of random access memories by Daft Punk, for example, 3 different editions, and I want to have them like a 3 separate entries. So I need to find an exact version, and this will help me out with that. Other powerful feature of Stimulus is that you can control turbo with it. There are plenty of methods there. So we can use turbo visit, and we can place the location and the frame, just like we did with form. We can just use this with JavaScript. In that way, we can hack this single frame, single action thing, because we can invoke like this 3, 4, 5 times, but there will be also like 3, 4, 5 requests for that. But yeah, we can. But I don't think it's a good idea to do that, to be honest. So Stimulus gives you superpowers, but most of the time you will not have to use it. As you can see, like the whole app, 38 lines of JavaScript. I would like to talk about some dev experience I had. So first thing, where hot reload. Yeah, so in React world, I'm used to using hot reload a lot because it's there. So you're changing something in your component, you go to your browser, it's already there, the change. So yeah, not cool, not great, but there is this gem, Hotwire Spark. I've been using it in this project, and it worked pretty well. So yeah, I think it's worth trying. It also uses Morph for that, so it's like a big this broadcasts refreshes stuff, but for observing the changes in the files. One downside of it doesn't tell you when there's an error. So you will get the thing like in the previous state until you refresh it. If you refresh the view, you will get the standard Rails error, but if not, then you will get just like the previous state. You can go without noticing that something is wrong. I had this issue with that. So yeah, another thing were DevTools. Yeah, so speaking of DevTools, I've been using one DevTool here. You can see that there's this standard. It's Hotwire DevTools, and yeah, it's cool. It helps you a lot, especially when you're a beginner like me. Not so beginner right now, but when I started. Yeah, so we can highlight the frames. And there's also a name of the frame if you hover here. So you can identify the frame. You can also do this just by adding some good old CSS with turbo frame tag and border red 5 pixels, something like that. It also can give you the information about the frame changes. So if I just start typing here, yeah, it's like the unfortunate color selection, and I cannot customize, I think, but you can see there's a little bit of flashing there. So yeah, it works like that. And the cool feature about this extension is we can also highlight controllers. So there's this form controller for auto submitting, another cool thing. And we can show the panel. And the panel is the thing that I've been using the most, I think, because you got this, all of the stuff at your fingers. So if I go, let's say, to the records, yeah. It also breaks the layout, that's the thing, because no, this one, it adds this frame, and it's breaking my layout because it's not using this display contains. But in other way, you cannot do this without displaying the elements, so we cannot highlight the frame. So that's a little bit downside, but yeah, when you know why, it's easier to understand. We can also like log warnings and monitor events. So this is also cool. We got the streams. So if I just like click here, we've got information about the stream, and it's in a more readable way. And then we got like in the DevTools. So also cool feature. Yeah, so this is the Hotwire DevTools version 0.3.2 right now. And so where are my VS Code extensions I had? Okay, let's have a look. Just a second. Yeah, so Marco is saying I should log an issue. Yeah, I will. So yeah, previously mentioned Stimulus LSP, really cool extension, but I have also one issue with it. I need to log it, and we saw this during the presentation. Yeah, so you can see the registered list is empty right now, and it says 12 controllers. From time to time, you could see the error here saying the ID is already registered. So if I just close my editor and open it again, it will work just fine, probably. Yeah, and it's a really cool extension because you can like, quickly jump through the fragments of your controllers, and it also gives you some hints. And this is a cool feature, especially when you have this disconnection between the controller and the actual layout. So let's go to the where I've been using this to create records, Discogs, search. Yeah, let's say here. So yeah, if I like delete this, I'll get an error here, and if I type something that's not existent, it will also isn't valid controller action of the model controller, and it's super cool. So yeah, it helps a lot with typos, because it's easy to make a typo when you've got the spaghetti code, and I'm also using Tailwind, as you can see. So there is a lot of other HTML here. Yeah. Piotr is asking that saying that I didn't pin the HTML QR code. It's not the library I'm using, actually. I can delete this file. It's the old one I forgot to clean up, because I've been trying different libraries. So the one I've used was this ZX something. So this HTML5 QR code is the unnecessary file in the repository. Sorry for that, but yeah, I just forgot to remove it because I've been experimenting with this before. So yeah, just a leftover, not an actual used file. Okay. Yeah. So that's the error I'm getting from time to time. But just restart the editor and you'll be fine. And sometimes it doesn't invoke at all. So weird thing. And another thing I got is like where components library. And yeah, for example, there is this ShadCN, which is pretty popular in the React world right now. And there is a Rails version of that, but when you read the first line of about, it's like, this is not a component library, it's a collection of reusable components you can copy and paste into your apps. So yeah, there is no one way of doing components in Rails right now. There are view components. There is also a thing called Super Rails or something like that, which I can't remember right now. I think today I saw this on Reddit. They released the first version of that. So there are some movements to fix this, but there are no proper components for that. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer, because yeah, when you want to build something quick and fast and nice, using React, you can just get one of the many libraries and build it. And you have a quick solution here. You need to just like copy and paste some styles. Like Tailwind helps a lot, because there are some Tailwind ready-made components, but they don't have interactions. They're just having plain markup. But on the other hand, you can use some other ready JavaScript libraries for interactions. So yeah, you can build something with that, but it's not that easy as it is in React world. And one thing I've noticed, I've started thinking in partials. I think there was some comment about that. I will just go back to that after the final slide. But yeah, I started to think in partials. So how can I reuse them so I don't have to write the same code twice? And it worked pretty well, I think. There are obviously some places I can improve, but yeah, I started to think in partials, and today I came into an idea that we could do some responsive partials with container queries in CSS, and it could be a cool thing. And I will also try to describe this as a blog post soon. But I need to do some experiments first. So yeah, I started to think in partials. Copilot was almost useless during my process, and he was like, it doesn't work, it doesn't give me much hints. In Cursor editor, there was a better one because it used different model, I think. So that one, especially when I've been using this chat thing on panel on the right, it did give me some hints, good ones, but Copilot did not. So it was almost useless. In the React world, it works pretty good. Maybe because of that, I know React, so it's also easier for me to understand stuff, but it gives much more hints than here. Documentation is not so great. So yeah, we've got this handbook, which is short and pretty okay. But also I had one issue, complicated one. I want to describe it here because it's like too much to explain. So I had to look into the source of Turbo, I think, for one thing, and I didn't get a solution. And I saw like there was a huge GitHub discussion about this issue. So yeah, and it wasn't described in the docs. But it's like it was an edge case, so not terrible, but not great. And there is a lot of magic here. Like if you name file that way, it will work. If you not, it will not. If you name this controller that way, it will work. If another way, you should like place this custom name here. And there are like 500 ways of writing things, so I need to get used to that and pick probably one of them. So should I use render? Should I pass something? Should I use DOM ID? Or I can write it like to combine the string. So there is a lot of magic here, but I like it. So yeah. Let's go to the summary then. It's been fun. It was like really fun project. I can't remember when was the last time I had so much fun with building something from scratch. So maybe it was the first React project I built a few years ago. So it was super fun for me. And I like this SSR approach with close to zero JavaScript. It makes sense, especially when we've got like most of the stuff we're building are the models and forms. And you can do this pretty well in using Rails and Hotwire without adding some additional layer of frontend. And I was able to build everything you've seen by myself with a little help of this chats, AI chats here and there, and sometimes I got some cool tips from my colleagues from Arkansas. But yeah, everything I built by myself, and I could do this again, and I want to do this again because it was super fun, and my mind was blown when I like saw the result. Like it's easy to build this, so I can now build the backend I need, and I don't need to have an API call. I can just render everything I need. So the big question, I think this is the question also has been typed by Justin. What is a use case to use React over Hotwire? So my question is, should I pick Hotwire for my next project or my current project? Let's hear a drum roll in your mind. Yeah, so my answer as a consultant is select the framework that best fits your project's needs and team expertise, because you don't want to put 10 front-end developers into this world of Hotwire without any expertise. But to be honest, probably yes. If you have some kind of React, that's the mistake I've been talking about at the beginning. If you have some kind of Rails app, you can easily extend it just by using frames or start introducing frames, then streams. It's not the like 0 and 1 problem. You can like make this adaptive process. So this is really cool about this Hotwire stuff, that you can improve your existing app pretty easily, and if you have the modern Rails version. So yeah, I cannot think about a single like use case when I couldn't use Hotwire instead of React. Like the best proof was this proof of concept we built 2 years ago. So yeah, because we built like a pretty complex app, which will be hell to create in React because of the state management. So yeah, that's the thing. So I think like as every framework, you can get this expertise and build everything. But this approach, especially when you have Rails applications, like for me now it's a no brainer. I'm telling this as a React guy, so I want to do more of this stuff because it's like super cool and super easy and predictable. And it takes off a lot from my mind when creating the app. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for your time, and it was a pleasure to show you my results. I can go now and look at the chat because I got this thing here. Sorry that I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the chat right now. What? Maybe I will just switch to this view. Then I can move my browser here, or not, or I can't. Maybe no. Okay, yeah. Now I will try to look at you instead of looking at the other side. Bum bum bum. Okay, so Andrew asked, unrelated to Turbo, but what are you using to render the HTML comment indicating start and end of various partials? Nothing. It was out of the box experience for me. I didn't add anything. Maybe it's in the development mode. Maybe it's a default behavior. So I didn't add anything to see them, but they're really helpful. So maybe newer Rails versions have them. I don't know. There's this Borat said that turbo set confirm method. It's a nice method to render custom confirm model. Yep, but I didn't use that. Like I had to be honest, I could go like twice long with this webinar because I have so much to tell and show, but I had to cut this stuff from this. We are also like over an hour, almost hour and a half right now. Yeah. David asks that how would you solve applications, iOS, Android with Hotwire, especially with offline music? I would not, to be honest, because I saw there is this also Hotwire has this native stuff. And I cannot imagine that you can do this because you need the server somewhere. There's probably some caching and maybe some JavaScript stuff, but I haven't looked in this native world. To build native apps, I'm still using React Native right now because there is a proper like a front end for the app. David asked, what is Hotwire Spark? Hotwire Spark is a gem that allows you to enhance your development experience by live reloading the website you're working on. Arthur asks, any arguments for using ESBuild if not even having node modules? I don't know. I'm not using it here, so I don't fully understand your question, I think. Sorry. And yeah, I think that's all. And there was this comment from Łukasz. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you very much once again. If you'd like to see more of this stuff, just let me know. I think the recording will be sent to you tomorrow. Yeah, so we can always hit reply to the email and write me your thoughts, or yeah, share it after all. Okay, yeah, so thank you once again, and bye. See you next time.